Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Buku Sayisa Wash Process Ethiopia from Blind Tiger Coffee. And there's the bag right there. And yet again, Blind Tiger, previously based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I believe now they're based out of Old Town, Maine, and a coffee roaster that has appeared on this channel a couple of times before, including most recently with our Finca Tucanes review. And a quick refresher on the backstory, if you didn't catch that video, is that I was at a local coffee shop. They were serving Blind Tiger coffee, and I told them to surprise me with one of their two offerings, and I liked the coffee so much that I purchased both bags of coffee since I didn't know which one it was that they served me, and I couldn't differentiate between the two coffees. So I'm looking forward to discussing the second half of that purchase, as this right here is day 25. And yet again, we have our special Blind Tiger mug for this review. Recipe we went with for this coffee was our standard recipe, a 16:1 water to coffee ratio, brewed at 205 degrees Fahrenheit. I like this one best through the Chemex, which indicates a more medium grind. Roast profile, yet again for Blind Tiger, it very much reminds me of the way that Sweet Bloom has gone more recently, which is very much in line with this light medium American, but it is a slightly less developed version of what they used to be. That's in line with what Sweet Bloom and what I experienced from this coffee from Blind Tiger. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and start discussing this coffee. Day 7, first impression, it was slightly floral with a little bit of this candied sweetness, and it was leading up to this slight stone fruit side of things in a subtle but clean manner. Definitely felt like this cup of coffee needed a little bit of rest because this was a little bit too tame, as there was a fair bit of potential within the cup, but it was just a good first impression, as a lot of the flavor profiles coming out from this cup were quite light. Day 9, so much more of the stone fruits in significant and pronounced abundance at the warmer temperatures. There were some really nice floral aspects to the cup, thinking a lot more in line of those white florals as it does cool down and lead into this strong stone fruit finish. Already seeing a great improvement from the second day, so a lot of this was very much in line with what they have listed on here. They have an apricot flavor note, I want to say, listed on here, and I could definitely see that as it was very much present on this day. Day 11, best day of the cup of coffee to this point, as it's surprisingly clean and vibrant. I think I wasn't necessarily surprised by the cleanliness, but a lot more by the vibrancy. And I made note of the cleanliness because it was even higher than I think I was expecting. So great clarity within this cup, as more of the stone fruits are present yet again with this sweeter floral aspect on the forefront. A little bit more of that candied sweetness, making for an all-around nice cup with a little bit of depth and complexity to it. Day 13, an improvement on the previous day yet again, as the stone fruit vibrancy is present yet again in great abundance and in a much sweeter capacity as well, with a lovely floral and peachy aroma and a slight cereal grain-like sweetness. So an excellent cup all around, hitting on a lot of the things I really enjoy: fruitiness, clarity, florality, and even that kind of unique sweet citric component that I really like. Day 15, another nice day, as the delicacy of this Chemex seems to be a really good fit for this cup of coffee, because there are so many of these flavors that would do really well with a kind of lighter, more delicate profile to them. Most distinctly thinking that floral aspect within it. Sweeter honey and stone fruit, a little bit of the cereal grain sweetness yet again. Slightly less florality on this day, but we continue on to day 17, as it seems to be skewing a little bit more in the direction of this kind of sweet honey. I'm thinking both the honey as well as the honeysuckle components to it, given that it was a little bit in this floral aspect. So kind of candied honey, kind of candied honeysuckle in general. With this stone fruit, again, that is both wild and pronounced, most distinctly thinking this really wild peach. It was like very much a fresh cut peach, which is a great selling point to me on a coffee. And cup continues to just improve, as with a slight bit of room to grow as well. That's a really positive thought on this coffee. Day 19, seeing the coffee skew in a slightly different direction on this day, but in a very positive direction, as it reminded me so much more of that sweet grain cereal component that I've experienced from so many coffees, most distinctly those Panamanian geishas. My favorite flavor profile in all of coffee altogether. So in a way, this kind of reminded me of Panamanian Geisha Light, which is a huge positive, a huge compliment to this coffee. This was the best day I'd experienced from it, and was on day 19. More of the vibrant stone fruits as the cup cools. It was a literal rainbow of flavors between the really strong florals, that kind of sweet citric grain component, as well as the peachiness to it. So really enjoyed this day. One of the best days of coffee I'd had throughout the time drinking it. Just one of the better Ethiopian days I've had this entire year. Day 21, another great day for the coffee as it continues to yield so many of those sweeter, vibrant florals yet again, reminiscent of honeysuckle, a note I keep going back to, but because it was kind of this candied florality, the sweeter florality, which was really, really nice. Strongly prefer that to the more herbal florality, which I experienced from the Finca Tucanes that really set these two coffees apart. Plenty of the stone fruit aspects yet again as the cup remains really nice and sweet. So really enjoyed the way that this coffee went. Definitely saw improvement on the back end of this one. All right, let's go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what we were getting. All right, one level 5, a couple of level 4s. Let's go through that level 5 real quick. The florality, level 5, yes, wonderful florality within this cup. I think that they have something funny like flower power. They do have flower power listed on here. And I think that's kind of a fun way to go with the flavor note because you could describe this florality in a number of ways. Earlier on, kind of this delicate white flower, then at times a little bit more of that honeysuckle components to it, a little sweeter florality. But in addition to that, that kind of fruity pebble florality that I really like. I was experiencing that in slight kind of delicacy in the background of certain days, but at its very best on that day 19 mark, it was very prominent and pronounced, and I really, really liked that day. So I really like that. That's kind of the way they went with that because it does kind of encompass the unique, different floral aspects you're getting from this coffee. A couple of level 4s, cleanliness level 4, it is still very much on the cleaner side. I've always said I have a very hard time charting something at a level 5 that isn't a geisha, but this is very much on the higher side of level 4. This is a very, very clean cup of coffee. I think they did an excellent job with the cleanliness for this coffee. Very defined. The flavor profiles in this one were very easy to pick out. Great job on that. Finish level 4, while it is delicate, given that the coffee itself has this kind of very moderate tame base in general, you're really able to kind of feel the flavors that come from it, and they last quite a bit. So really like the finish there at the level 4 mark. Sweetness level 4, very sweet cup of coffee, especially for an Ethiopian. And I've heard some people saying that washed Ethiopians aren't as sweet this year. Well, this one definitely bucked the trend because this one right here had wonderful sweetness to it in so many areas, and I really enjoyed the sweetness very much in that level 4 mark. Stone fruit level 4, while they have an apricot flavor note listed on here, and while I could see that a lot of the time, there were a lot of the times I also felt that it was a little bit more on the peachy side of things, which is actually a selling point to me. Definitely like the peachiness more than the apricot in coffee, but wild stone fruits nonetheless definitely justified that level 4 mark. Secondary characteristic to the strong florality within the cup. Just take a look here. What else? Level 3 for the acidity. Yet again, it seems to be consistent with what I've experienced for Blind Tiger coffees. They seem to always end up in that range, which is ideally what I'm looking for in a coffee. And that's why I kind of like to link their roast profile to Sweet Bloom, is because that's typically where I used to see Sweet Bloom's coffees finish, is level 4 for sweetness and level 3 for acidity. So I really like kind of comparing and contrasting those two. Body, level 2. Very much light-bodied cup of coffee, very much expected. It is in Ethiopia and it is brewed through the Chemex, so that's not surprising whatsoever. For the most part, though, I think this is a great tasting wheel. I think this is really representative of what I experienced from this coffee. All right, so my overall thoughts and impressions of this coffee. One of my favorite washed Ethiopian coffees of the year, easily, if not my favorite. It will very much make the top 10 coffees of the year list in some capacity, whether it be in the actual top 10 itself, or whether it be on the honorable mentions list. And that's me saying that basically for all those people that haven't been the biggest fan of Ethiopian coffees this year, I've still found a couple of gems, most distinctly this Buku Sayisa. I think this is great. I really like Buku Sayisa in general. If some of you guys remember, it was a Buku Sayisa. It was a natural processed one, though, that last year that finished in our top 10 coffees of the year list, because I really like the way that their coffees come out, especially when they're clean, especially when they're floral, they're sweet. This hit on all those marks. Floral, fruity, sweet, and clean, and all of which in abundance, even got that rare fruity pebble aspect to it. So I think that this was an excellent coffee. Type of person I would suggest this coffee to, that always makes it a very easy recommend. Anybody that likes those same attributes that I do. Cleanliness, clarity, of course, florality, sweetness, and fruitiness, very defined profile, and all of these things in abundance. A consistent cup of coffee with improvement and great sweetness. This had all of those things that I really enjoy. If you're looking for a washed Ethiopia that maybe is a little bit on the sweeter side of things, given how much people have been disappointed with the Ethiopian coffees this year, I think this was a great fit for you, especially in terms of the florality. So that's kind of the way I'll leave this review. If you by chance had an opportunity to try this coffee, would love to know your thoughts and impressions of it as well. If you enjoyed the content, give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This right here has been a review of the Buku Sayisa, wash processed Ethiopia from Blind Tiger Coffee. Thank you for watching.